you write about MBSR for cancer patients and for people facing dementia. Do you still keep the same attitude of embodiment and maybe leading by example? Maybe they can follow along if they so choose to, or do you make it a little more persuasive in light of their present condition and how much they can benefit from mindfulness practice? And if so, how do you keep yourself neutral in the face of someone that's actually, you're not just embodying practice to make them realize how much potential there is, but it could actually be a life-saving exercise. So there's a lot more on the pod being gambled, I feel.
Interesting question. So you're talking about in the hospital, in the clinic, where we see people with all sorts of different kinds of medical diagnoses, and very often we see them when the doctors have said there's nothing more we can do for them. Okay? Because there are very, very real limits to medicine. And we try to encounter everybody as they are. And in fact, we don't even look at the diagnosis. Because I never wanted to be prejudiced by diagnosis, so I would just ask somebody, what brings you to stress reduction, and then shut my mouth and listen. When you ask an open-ended question in medicine, there are studies that have measured how long it takes before the doctor who asks a patient in an interview an open-ended question interrupts the patient who's responding, and it's like 17 minutes. 17 seconds. Okay, so a lot of the time we just don't give space to people to tell their stories because we don't want to hear other people's stories. It's too much. So, there's not that much difference, to tell you the truth. We create an environment that is welcoming, and then it depends on who's in the room. If it's all young law students in the room, certain things are going to get talked about. But if it's people with heart disease, cancer, chronic pain of all kinds, AIDS, and so forth, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, headaches, then what we're going to do is pretty much the same thing I would do with you, or Scott doing with you, because we're focusing on what's right with people, not what's wrong with them. Because they would talk endlessly about what's wrong with them. But since they're in a room with, it's not all cardiac patients, it's not all pain patients, they can't talk to each other so much about what's wrong with them because they can't commiserate because they have different conditions. But they can talk about what's right with them. And they can actually drop into that sense of not being a patient, but being a person, being a human being. And so the practices are virtually the same. And it's all, gone into great detail in full catastrophe living. But there really is no sense of separation. It's like we're dealing with, everybody's got a body, everybody's breathing, everybody's got a mind, everybody's mind is out of control. Well, we start there. And so it's not that different. And that's true even if we're working, with specialized groups of people, whether it's teachers or whether it's firefighters or police or whatever.
John,
medical people.
To zero in a little bit, if I may, you've got a loved one who's struggling. You found something that you find to be helpful. You're embodying it as best you can.
Is that an element of your question?
I didn't ask it that way, but it definitely, I appreciate you doing that. Yeah.
So be a little bit more explicit, Scott. So you're living with somebody who has a problem. How do you get them to get involved in a way that you think would be beneficial because you found it so beneficial? Is that part of it?
Yes.
Oh, that's a really slippery slope. Because the more you try to sell someone on mindfulness or NBSR, the more you're a suspect. So the best thing is, there's no answer to that question, but sometimes just leaving a book around, letting people pick it up. I mean, I know people who've done this. You know, they've left a copy of Pocahontas Living where people they were around, and then their father or sister picked it up and said, "Oh, this is interesting." But if they had said, "Oh, you should read this book," they'd never touch it. So that's one strategy. But I think the most important thing is if you think this would be valuable, mindfulness would be valuable for somebody else, practice it yourself and just relate to them without trying to sell them on anything. Just see their nature, see their beauty as they are, and then don't try to improve on anything. They may at some point ask you, well, I mean, and this happens all the time, especially to people in MBS harbor. I don't know, what's going on with you? You just seem so much calmer. You seem so much more at home in your body. You know, people say this to people at work. I said, well, I don't know, maybe it's that MBSR that I'm doing. You know, but then it becomes the subject of conversation, but you didn't initiate it. So I think skillfully, it's much better if you don't initiate the conversation. Let your being do the work. Let your being do the transmitting of whatever the real teaching is. And people are not stupid. They'll feel it. And then they'll pursue it, and, you know, when the time is right, something will happen. But if you try to sell it or proselytize, you know, and become an evangelist for mindfulness, it's a disaster.
And perhaps part of what you're saying is, and if you do want to share it with them and introduce them to it, do it without an attachment to it needing to look a certain way afterward.
Exactly, no attachment to outcome. The other thing is that my father had Alzheimer's, and he was a brilliant scientist and had Alzheimer's. I wrote about that too, coming to our senses. And, you know, so I practiced for him. When I was with him, you know, often we'd just sit together. He'd sit with his mind the way his mind was, and I'd sit meditating, holding his hand. And it was very beautiful, very rich in many ways. It wasn't going to take away his Alzheimer's, but it brought us together in a way that I think made him feel really more comfortable. So it's very important because in medicine, I don't know how much it's that way in the law. I know you sometimes use the clinical vocabulary in the law, but in medicine, it's a kind of a disease. But to think that there are cures in medicine, there are very few cures in medicine. There's very little you can do to fix somebody else, unless you're an orthopedic surgeon and, you know, it's bone and joint stuff. That's really miraculous. But for most things, there are no quick fixes. And so mindfulness is not about fixing, and it's not about curing, it's about healing. And my working definition of healing is that it's actually coming to terms with things as they are. So that's a big challenge. How do you come to terms with the actuality of things? And then you find there's a whole multi-dimensional universe, as I was saying, of possibilities that you can't come to merely through scheming or through thinking or through strategizing. You just have to trust that your being will do the work in relationship. In relationship. And so when you have a client, if you're a lawyer, that client, you know, lawyer relationships, that's a lot of work. That will tell you a lot, certainly in medicine. I mean, my chief of medicine always said, you know, if you want to know what's going on with the patient, because often it's a mystery what the diagnosis is. You really want to know what's going on with the patient? Ask the patient. You'd be surprised how many doctors forget to do that, or don't want to listen. They just want their questions answered so they come up with a quick fix, of which there isn't any. That makes sense to you? It's really asking you to not fall into some kind of dime store relationship with the practice, but to see it more as relationality. That the way you really mindfulness is how you be and how you communicate using all of the various ways in which you communicate. Touch, hugging, speaking, listening,